I'm Kathleen Hudson and was just privileged to win the grand prize at the PleinAir Salon.
Kathleen Hudson. Kathleen Hudson.
I'm in shock. Thank you so much. This is really beyond anything I could have imagined.
When Eric announced my name, I was in complete shock. I had entered the salon with a number of paintings that I did both plein air and studio. I didn't do it with a whole lot of hope that anything would happen, just because while I believe in the quality of my work, I saw how incredibly wide the field of talent and just amazing skill there is among all the painters who enter the salon. This entry was actually I entered it 2 hours before the deadline during the last competition, but I had entered throughout the year, and I had even entered that specific painting. It was especially gratifying to me, I think, that they picked that specific painting. It required a 10-mile round-trip hike up to Timberline Falls in the Rocky Mountain National Park. I knew it was going to be kind of an adventurous day just because of the big solo hike, and then I also didn't have the right size panel carrier, so I had to buy some twine, and I planned to jerry-rig this painting to the back of my pack on the way back down. I had a little bit more adventure than I had hoped for on the way back down, where I was about halfway down the mountain thinking things were going all right. I hadn't fallen, hadn't otherwise damaged the wet painting. And I came across a couple of hikers who had gone a little bit off the trail and were taking close-up photos of an elk calf. And Mama Elk was right there, and she was none too pleased that this was taking place. And so I shouted at them to get back on the trail and get away from the calf. Luckily, listened to me and got right back on the trail and continued down the mountain. Well, I waited a little bit until the elk were off to the side and went by very cautiously. Right after I passed the place where the two elk were off the side, I heard something behind me, and the doe elk ended up tailing me down the mountain for the next 5 or 6 minutes at close range. So that was probably the most nerve-wracking 5 or 6 minutes of hiking I've ever experienced in my life. And it was made none the better by the fact that I had this painting that I really had liked strapped to the back of my pack. So I knew if the elk decided to investigate me a little bit more closely, then the painting might be toast. Not to mention my own physical well-being. But luckily we both made it back in one piece. It represents some of the biggest challenges you can face while painting outside. And it was completely worthwhile. I don't regret doing that painting for a minute, and especially not now. I do think I would have been even more nervous with that wet painting if I had known how valuable it would actually end up being. I am so glad that I entered it again and didn't just give up on it. And I think it should serve as a real encouragement to other artists out there that even if you don't win with a painting or get some sort of nod and become a finalist the first try, it's worth trying again if you really believe in your work. And the field, like I said, the field of paintings is so deep, and there's so many talented artists, but there's room for new faces. There's always a chance, and the only way to ensure that you won't win is to not enter. So yeah, I don't for a minute obviously regret entering my paintings repeatedly.